What the fuck is up, guys? You know who it is. Okay, so 1 year sober. That's what the video's about. I'm gonna get into it. So I walked down this trail and I ended up here. I'm gonna put the footage in the video, so like the footage that's playing throughout this video as I'm talking is gonna be like in chronological order. Me getting out of my car and like starting to walk the trail, up until this place that I arrived here. This is a trail that I've never been to. I just kind of like looked up somewhere to go in nature near me, and started walking down it. And then there was kind of like this beaten path, and I took a video of that. You'll see if you pay attention. There was kind of like this beaten path, and then I just started walking down it and just kept walking all the way until I got here. And there's like this ducked off little spot with like a fire pit right in front of me, like seats, bunch of trash, like some kids were drinking here or something. There's a beautiful not waterfall, but like little rock. You feel me? Waterfall. A really cool thing to like. I keep looking around because I'm also like, is someone listening to me right now? I need to get over it. But like something really cool about like filming these YouTube videos and like kind of prompting myself to like, okay, maybe I should have a conversation with myself and talk out loud about like what being 1 year sober looks like, right? Like this is unscripted. It's just kind of like me setting the camera down and like finding ways to make it fun. So like saying, okay, let me find a cool spot to film at and let me make like a little walk out of it or a little hike or like learn more about the city. And then like through that, I just start walking down this trail. I get exercise, I get sunlight. I'm like feeling the benefits of just walking, which are like almost better than the benefits of like arguably better than the benefits of like filming this video. And I'm like, oh my God, this is such a good way to start my day. Just kind of like an excuse, like creating an event, like filming this YouTube video as an excuse to like address something like being 1 year sober, like go for a hike, find a really dope spot, um, get sunlight, you know what I mean? Start the day off doing an activity, not being on my phone. I mean, the list goes on, right? So, whatever, bro. I'm gonna get into it. I just think all that's really cool. Like I said, I literally have nothing scripted. This is gonna be a stream of consciousness. Please do not quote me on any of this shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. My feelings might change tomorrow. This is just like a diary. I'm not like, if the stakes are that I have to be saying something that's even worthwhile, then it's too much pressure for me. Let me start out by iterating that like I'm very proud of myself. Um, I feel like that's probably a good place to start. To be candid, I've done Xans once in the last year, which is my drug of choice. What I say when I'm 1 year sober, that's what I'm talking about. Um, I don't really like in my mind. I've been sober over 1 year, and there was one day in that year that I wasn't sober. It wasn't like a thing where it was like a relapse for me or like it was super built up. It was kind of like I was doing it to like see what it felt like as a one-time thing. Whatever. It sounds a lot like I'm making excuses. What I'm saying is that like it wasn't a thing that I felt guilty for afterwards, and it wasn't a thing where like the next day it was hard not to take one again. It was kind of like, you know what I mean? Like even when I was taking it, I knew that I was gonna be fine. Because my mindset just around shit has restructured, and I have no desire to be on that shit in any capacity. Um, so, bro, some things that are like worth thinking about. This is my first year sober as an adult. This is my first year sober since I was probably like 15 from this drug. So this is my first year that like everything, you know what I mean? Like talking to people, um, going out and doing social events, um, interacting with women, making music, finding motivation, going to work, um, dealing with hard shit, dealing with loss, heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the things that humans go through. This is like my first time as an adult going through any of it sober. So it's been fucking insane. I kind of feel like I'm a child, and in not just like a bad way. There's like a novelty to everything. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like being sober is the new high in a weird way, and that sounds super gay to say. Um, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I really need to start bringing like tissues. I bring tissues with me in the car. I'm all fucking stuffed up, but I don't bring it out with me on the trail, and it's like now I'm stuck out here filming YouTube videos like snotty as fuck. Um so yeah, I'm proud of myself. Shit's been really novel, shit's been really crazy. Just understanding what it's like to live life, and then there's the cons, right? Like all the anxiety and the things that like yeah, like feel like normal things to other people that are kind of like, man, I haven't done this in years, like without performance enhancers, right? So this shit's crazy. I will say my music is in a better spot than it's ever been. I think that just coincides with progress in life in general, but that also, like, getting sober is a factor in that. Um, so yeah, dude. I'll also say that like filming this video is kind of weird for me because I'm conscious of how much that I identify with like the sober community and calling myself someone who's quote unquote sober. Like even like there's so many implications. Like even just saying I'm sober implies that I'm a former addict. Not that I'm not a former addict, but it's like walking around wearing that. Um And you see this with people a lot. And I'm not throwing shade on these people at all. I'm just observing it. You see people who really identify with the fact that they used to be an addict. It's something that is like I don't want to say part of their personality. I mean, it can be, but it's something that like shapes the way that they look at themselves and the way that they look at the world. And oftentimes, like how they got better was shaped on that. Like they got better, like kind of distancing themselves from this former version of themselves that was an addict, but also kind of like continuously reminding themselves of what they can become so that they're very careful not to do it. And this is what you see with people who go to meetings like 30 years after, since they've been sober, because this is an act. This is staying sober. This isn't just you become sober and then, you know, and I don't know how much of that is me, like I don't know how much of that is something that I need to stay sober. Um, like I also am very happy that something doesn't have power over me and that I go days without thinking about relapsing. I don't have to like go to a meeting every day to stay sober. Um, and that's something I'm grateful for and something I want to hold on to. So because of that, sitting here and like, oh, you're sober, what did I learn? And even like feeling the need sometimes to like wear it as a badge of honor and like walk around and tell people so they can know like how far I've come from is like I want to distance myself from that because I want it to be a thing where it's almost like, oh yeah, that was just a phase. Um Rather than I still identifying it and still thinking about it years later and like still whatever. So there's a middle ground there because I also feel like sometimes I downplay it. Um so yeah, this is me just trying to hit on that whatever. I'm probably not doing as good of a job as I'd like to be. Um I will say that like I've made it such not a thing that like I haven't talked to anyone about it. That feels a little interesting. I mean, it's probably a big reason why I'm making this video. I think a few people know that I've been a year sober, but it's been such a nonchalant thing for me that like it's not like anyone congratulated me, right? Um which is like this isn't me throwing myself a pity party. That's how I've worn this shit and that's kind of cool in a way that like people are so like know that I'm so past that shit that they don't it's not like a thing that they're even thinking about the anniversary of. Um it's also like if no one's going to say anything I will. That's fucking crazy. um and like going back to what I said about like sometimes I can downplay certain shit. Bro, I was like sitting in my bed the other night and just thinking about the shit that I did on a daily basis. Like the amount of felonies that I was committing, the amount of jail time that I was risking every time I stepped in the car with like a shitload of drugs on me, the fire that I was playing with by being responsible for the distribution of substances that can have all sorts of effects on people. The paranoia that came with, and the real life violence and risk and trauma. And this was the life that I was like walking around in like it was normal. You know what I mean? Like this is a life that I was having fun in. I was enjoying the thrill of the risk of it all. And that's and I was a child for a lot of it. Entering into adulthood, and then I was still behaving as I was a child as an adult. And honestly, part of getting sober was weird because like the biggest factor in me getting sober was me having seizures from stopping taking Xanax. And so honestly, when life punished me hard enough to make me want to stop, I stopped immediately. Up until that point, yeah, sure, shit was, my life in some ways was falling apart from getting high. Don't get me wrong, but I was getting rewarded for it. The more I was getting high, the more money I was making, the further I was advancing in so many areas of life in terms of like on paper, not in terms of like my mental well-being. I was definitely what you'd call a functioning addict. Honestly, like I was like a non-functioning sober. Like, yeah, like I'm a year sober and I feel great about where I'm at and my ability to like command a room and wake up and take over the world, and my attitude that was cultivated through drugs, through Xanax, is not something that I'm like able to replicate with that sort of ease sober. It requires like intense focus that sometimes evades me. So it really had to be like getting sober had to be like a nobility thing. It had to be an honor thing. It had to be like a health thing, because in so many ways I was getting rewarded for it. I was just able to like never get arrested, never truly get like shot or fucking killed, right? Like the fact that I'm not dead or in jail kind of is what I'm saying. In and of itself is fucking insane, let alone the fact that like I walked away with all the profit, twin. You know what I'm saying? Like the real ones are gonna anyways, bro. So a year sober correlates with like a year single, a year not living in Florida, a year not owning a business, a year like every big change ever happened all at the same time. That's not a coincidence. I was kind of fucking rebirthed, and that helped me make all these changes at the same time. So it's hard to say what's from getting sober, what's not, but I feel better, I think. I know. And life's pretty good, man. So like I don't know, I don't want to like do too much, you know what I'm saying? I already kind of told you guys where my head's at, but I will say like it's worth it. I will say like I have a really hard time identifying with the sobriety rhetoric. I think a lot of the reason why I had trouble getting sober is because like even when I was pushed to get sober and like even like sent to rehab as a child, like against my will, but still like put in these circles where I had to like be surrounded by the rhetoric of it, of like why you should get sober. It was super hard to identify with. These people gave the drug so much power that I didn't think the drug had over me, and that really the drug didn't have over me. They'd kind of like force this shit onto you. And I'm not saying this about all sobriety circles, right? But a lot of the sobriety rhetoric is like everyone in the meeting is an addict. And it's not like people are acknowledging the level to which they're an addict or not. In a lot of ways, there's a lack of nuance, and and everything is just like, man, everyone in this room is like, we have to stay away from this shit. We're allergic to it. Um, I guess like when shit is like blanketed through this, like, your life is falling apart because of you and you need to fix this or everything will fall apart and you're just like me because that happened to me, is like packaged through this like way that has such a lack of nuance. It like doesn't land a lot unless it like actually hits for that person, and but some people like need to hear that message before they're at rock bottom. um and that's really, I'm not saying I have the answer for packaging it. I'm just saying I don't identify with a lot of this get better rhetoric. I feel like I got better and life became harder, and I feel like everything is around like get better and none of it's around like kind of how. Everything's around the why, and like I feel like a lot of people that are addicted know why they should get better. A lot of it is like what the fuck is actually going on, and that it might be different for you than everyone else, and like I don't know, bro. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but um what I will say is that like, and I'm going to kind of contradict everything I said. What I will say is that like as someone who couldn't identify with that rhetoric, still the safest like conclusion and the safest message to push is like, this shit is worth it, dog. If you're someone who's like on the fence about is this thing truly a problem or is it not, you should just stop. And like that, I have to be careful when I say that. I'm still a drug user, like I'm sober from one thing that I had a problem with, and I don't have a problem with everything else. I still like believe in recreation, dog. And like I still believe that like there's levels to this shit. And this is what I mean about the sobriety rhetoric. I feel like people are stuck at sobriety a lot of times. And they can't conceptualize a world where moderation exists. And it's like, if that's how you feel you have to go for the rest of your life to stay sober, then like I'm not like knocking that at all. But like I do believe that some people graduate to moderation. I do believe that like there's addiction, then there's a next level of sobriety, and then there's a graduation from sobriety that's like moderation. That's like, if I wanted to, not that everyone wants to, but if I wanted to, if I had a real reason to, I could reintegrate this back into my life and not have a problem with it. Because not only did I get sober, but I solved all the shit that was the reason why I was getting high. And like, I think so much of, again, recovery rhetoric is putting all the stake in getting sober and not putting all the stake in like what the fuck has to change inside you for you to even want that or for that to even happen. With all that being said, again, hard to identify with the sobriety rhetoric, the recovery rhetoric. It's very like one size fits all in some ways. If you don't identify with that shit, whatever, dog. If anyone's listening to this that knows that they need to hear it, and you need to hear it, you should probably get sober. I don't need to encourage anyone to get high. And if you're getting high, bro, me too. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So, by this point, no one knows what I'm saying, including myself. But that's how I feel, dog. I think that I've said enough. I'll probably conclude this by saying I don't know how much of this was supposed to be me patting myself on the back, and that's what a lot of it ended up being. This shit's been really hard and will continue being really hard, and I'm in the primitive stages of being the best version of myself that I can. I've come a long way. I have such a long way to go. And this shit is an everyday battle, but in different ways than just fighting not taking a pill. So there's balance in all this shit. I'm glad I have a reason to vent, but I'm also glad that maybe not everyone in my life is congratulating me, and I'm not walking around like I'm the biggest deal because I did something that should be the standard, which is like showing up for yourself and for the world around you. So I'll also say that I should be a testament. If I can do this, then anyone can. Because I was bad, bro. So whatever, man. All this shit is just a mouthful that I've force-fed you guys. But I hope that anyone who watched it, any of the 40 people, subscribe, bro. Fuck, dude, I don't know if I have much more to say, man. Um, I think that's it.